Hey guys, subscribe for daily content, and if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another interesting knife review / knife overview to show you guys. This is the QSP Beetle, which I have to assume is named that way because it looks like a beetle in the closed position. Really neat though, really cool design considering the liners and blade are coated in what in the best case scenario is Cerakote, likely closer to paint. But there's a bunch of different colors, blue, red, gold, I don't know. There's a bunch of them. I'll link them down in the description. You guys can check it out if you want to. It's not a horribly expensive knife, but it is a little more expensive than I thought that it should be. It's not actually dagger ground. This is a false edge up here. It's only sharp on one side. They legitimately could have sharpened that edge, though. If you look right here, it's buried safely inside of the handle, thanks to this awkward swell right here. So they could have. I would venture to guess there were some legal issues with that, considering that these are made in China, as QSP knives are, but I actually don't know. Flipper daggers, symmetrical flipper daggers, are pretty rare for that reason. It's tricky to do with the design. It's illegal to make them in a lot of places. It's kind of dangerous, especially when you're putting it away. But you don't have to worry about that. You can use the flipper tab, which, by the way, is marked on both sides to let you know exactly, which one actually flips it. There's always people asking me, can you flip it the other way? And I always laugh to myself, and I'm like, you didn't think about that before you asked that question. If you could flip it the other way, the thing would just... Like, what's stopping it? It's funny. But no, yeah, it only goes one way. So right or left-handed, there are mounting positions on either side for the pocket clip. It's marked, so you know exactly which way it is. But anyways, linked in the description. Thanks to QSP for sending it in. Thanks to my patrons for supporting me. Let's go ahead real quickly here and measure the darn thing. There we go. Sorry. Tape measure gets away from me sometimes. Overall length of the Beetle is coming in at 7 inches. Blade length is coming in at 2.9, and your cutting edge is 2.5 inches. Let's go ahead and do some size comparisons. Any custom scales found in this section can be found down in the description under Original Goat and Others. Up against the 8010 and the Excalibur, it is quite a bit smaller than both. Let's go ahead and put it up against the Spyderco PM2 and the Spyderco Para 3. It's much closer to the size of the Para 3, but still a little smaller. And then finally, we'll put it up against the Benchmade Reptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue and the Hogue Deca. How's the action? It's a QSP. Honestly, they do a great job. There's nothing overly special going on here, but the flipper tab is satisfying to deploy. There is no double clutch. It is close. It does take a little encouragement to get it down in there. It's running on bearings, but it's good. It's exactly what you'd expect of a knife built like this by QSP, right? It's a budget knife build, slightly over budget knife cost. Let's go ahead and do carry profile. Thickness up against the Spyderco Para 3. It's very, very close to the same. This guy's a little thicker, and it's mainly just this raised area right here. It's meant to accommodate for the pivot, so not really. Length and height, though, up against the PM2 and the Para 3. Sorry, just getting the PM2 folded back up so I don't poke myself. It carries a little bit awkward just because of the height and these two little tabs sticking out, but not really. It's pretty darn easy to carry. I can't complain too much. Lengthwise, about the same as the PM2. Not quite as tall, but in areas it is approaching it. So overall, it's really not a difficult object to carry. Let's go ahead and weigh it. For materials, we are looking at G10. It is nice. It's contoured. You have also the coated steel liners, which are nested. And then you have a coated, I missed it there, wrong side, coated 14C 28N blade with, again, likely the equivalent of just really tough paint. Eventually, it will wear off. It doesn't matter what this is. It's not DLC, right? It's going to wear off. So the weight on this guy, fairly heavy at 4.2 ounces, but not so heavy that it's going to be a deal breaker or anything like that. Balance, I think, does favor the butt, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with favoring the butt. We are back just a bit from the pivot. No big deal. I feel like most people are going to buy this for cool factor and not for balance. Let's go ahead and do a hardware check. I'll get out my tools as per usual. My tools are very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can find them right down in the section of my description that talks about the tools I use on this channel. We have a T8 for the pivot. We have T6 for the pocket clip screws. And that's it, because the pocket clip screws are also the screws for the frame. As long as you have the right tools for the job, you should be good to go. Let's measure that blade stock thickness. That's going to be tricky. I'm going to have the blade out and get a hold of that initial flat. So it's not a super thick blade, probably 115 to 120 thousandths. Yeah, 118 thousandths. So not thick, but the blade geometry, given where that center line is, it doesn't have a lot of room to drop. So it's not necessarily the thinnest edge in the world, but it's not crazy thick either. Okay, meat and potatoes time. This is purely a knife that, I mean, it is built well. QSP makes good knives. It's almost a knife that looks like you'd find it, you know, on those Temu junk sites, or, you know, like if you type in like dragon knife on Amazon. If you've never done that, that's really fun to do. It almost looks like a knife that would belong in that category aesthetically, but it does not. This is actually a knife that is made well. It's actually made by people who care. Whether or not you accidentally cut yourself with their product. Honestly, I think the biggest safety element of junk knives is the fact that they are rarely actually sharp. Actually, maybe that does make them a little more dangerous. But anyways, enough of that. We'll save it for the TSA confiscated knives episode. Glad you guys are enjoying those. This is just a super colorful object that is fun. Aesthetically, has kind of a unique, you know, symmetrical look to it, and actually will work. Ergonomically, it's a bit odd to be this shape. To me, is not the most like, ooh, it's so comfortable, right? It's kind of like sitting on a decorative chair. I'm like, am I supposed to sit here? I'm not comfortable. I'm far from comfortable. I'm nervous more than I am anything else. I hate decorative chairs. Why? Why? A chair's for sitting. It's not a decoration. Never understood that. We have 3 decorative chairs in our house, and each one sits up against the same wall that the TV's on, facing away from the TV. Who would sit there? You have to be a psychopath to sit there. You can't, apparently, because it's decorative, but God, I hate decorative. It's so dumb. Obviously, it wasn't my choice to put it there. Anyways. Sorry. The thing that makes this the most uncomfortable is honestly just the position of these tabs here. It's just like an abrupt thing. It's just an abrupt bump there. It's not necessarily sharp. It just doesn't feel like it's supposed to be there. There are big choils here, and you can use those to sort of stabilize and get control of the knife, right? That's fine. I don't know that I would ever want to choke up on a knife like that. I mean, like that thing's going right into my finger there. You can put your finger there. I don't know how often you'll use it. Comfortable is not what I would describe this as, but I also wouldn't describe it as like, oh my God, it's impossible to hang on to. This is the type of knife that you're going to carry because you like how it looks. And you're going to use for very simple things like cutting open packages, which it'll do, but don't expect the geometry to be absolutely spectacular. It's fine. 14C28N, obviously, that's a preferred steel at this price point, but it's nothing ultra special. It's not going to do anything in an optimized way. It will poke pretty well, given that you have this sort of dagger profile, right? But the edge is nicely sharpened. There's what appears to be a pretty good plunge grind there. You might run it in. I don't know. This might create a problem while sharpening. I'm not really sure, but it looks fine. There's nothing super duper wrong with any of this. It's just much more for the aesthetic than it is the function of it. It says QSP, just big and bold right there in your face, 14C28N on the other side, and that's about it. I do like that they're doing something different here, that it does make it fun. We do not all absolutely need the most EDC optimized tools on our person every single day. Some of us might, most of us don't. Most of us can carry something like this that's not optimized for anything and just looks cool and gets us through the day. There's nothing wrong with it. I do applaud QSP for taking chances like this every now and then and making the budget knife territory, or in this case, nearly the budget knife territory, a lot more interesting because, man, it is so straightforward, boring, utility-oriented, and that's great for people looking for that. The problem is it is so oversaturated with the same thing. There's just not, like, the ratio of interesting, like, weird and fun to boring, straightforward, utility, Home Depot. You know, like the ratio there, it's just, we see a lot less of this. So I always like it when companies do fun stuff like this for people who are like, I don't need it to be super serious. I just want to kind of enjoy it. And that's fine, right? Plenty of people are going to look at this and say, that's the ugliest thing I've ever seen, right? It looks like a nuclear ladybug. And yeah, you're right. I can see why people would think it's ugly. Also, if you have trypophobia, you're not going to like this, right? So I get it. Pivot's kind of interesting. Almost looks like a jet turbine, right? All the milling, all the machining and everything that they did with the G10, it all looks really, really nice. There's no part of this that has any machining flaws or anything like that. You don't have a lanyard hole, who cares? You have a pocket clip that can be reversed for lefty carry. This is a very easy knife to manipulate with your left hand. I'm a right-handed person. You can see no problem there, despite it being a right-handed liner lock. But yeah, totally fine. Back spacer is all really at the butt. It's more of a butt spacer. Right, it's kind of plugged off at the end back here. But anyways, you have the stop pin, which is located internally. We can actually see it attached to the blade there, and then there's two little areas milled out on either side of the liners. You can see there's sort of tracks, and then it contacts both sides of the steel frame, giving you nice stability and solid lockup without sacrificing the action or anything like that. It's really nice. You have a centering issue on this one. Not sure why. Shouldn't be, but it is. Then again, hold on. Let's look at it from this angle. Is it actually off? Let me get my fingers under there so we can see. Yes, but not as much as I thought. It's slightly off. Irritating. Probably not going to be the same with everyone. QSP very rarely has issues with centering, so it might just be this one. What's the price tag? They want $78 for this. QSP, your competition is charging like $20 less on average for stuff like this. So I'm not like, it's cool and it's different. I'm just not sure why we're so high. Then again, I feel like the people who are interested in this are probably not going to care too much, right? There's always going to be people looking at this and thinking that knife should cost $20. No, they can't make money on it if it costs $20. Honestly, it should be more like $65. You know, I think that would be more than fair. 70 maybe max. It does have nested liners, and there is, some 3D machining on the G10. Not necessarily ultra expensive, but more expensive than just flat G10 sandwiched on top of steel liners. They've got all the holes, and they've got a decorative pivot. They did coat the blade, and they're using nice materials here. And the pocket clip is interesting, can be switched, to both sides. There's elements here that are definitely increasing the cost over your average 14C28N and G10 budget knife. $78 still seems a little bit high. Is it recommendable? Well, unless you're specifically looking for something silly and fun, then not to the average person, but it is cool. It will work, right? It's far from like, absolute function over or form over function. I would say it's more leaning in favor of form, but function is still absolutely there. It's just much less of a serious cutting tool and more like something that you would maybe keep on your desk as a fun tactical letter opener, or just use for more casual things. But it is neat, and I'm glad that QSP is making stuff like this. So it's not a budget knife, so I can't put it in that playlist. So I'll just let you know that it's linked in the description. You guys can check it out if you want to. It is fun. I like the red one. I think that would have been my pick. Anyways, please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.